I get asked all the time for book recommendations, and I couldn't be happier and prouder to talk about this book right here that my friend, Dr. Reggie Thomas, wrote. It came out within the last month or two. It's called Burnout Pains, and I was extremely honored and humbled when Reggie asked me to write the foreword for this book. I'd never been asked to write a foreword before, and Reggie wrote the foreword for my second book, 6 Habits of Powerful People, so it felt really good to read this book and repay the favor. This is Reggie's second book. His first book was called People Pains. It came out 2 years ago, also a great book. But today we're going to talk about Burnout Pains. As I said in my foreword, a few things. Reggie is the perfect person to write this book. Not only has he experienced burnout himself in a previous part of his life and didn't recognize the symptoms right away, he also has corrected and moved his life into a position now where he makes ample time for travel, for gardening, to run races. He's ran the Boston Marathon 12 times. He's ran ultra races. He's been married for 35 years and invests heavily in his wife and his 2 children. And he's really gotten to a point of confidence and courage and determination to say, I'm not going to let that happen to me again. One of the things I got out of Reggie's book is that burnout does not discriminate on age or race or gender or ethnicity. Anybody at any point in time and at any place in their career can experience burnout. Just because someone's new in the workforce in 25 doesn't mean that they're less likely, and someone else that's close to retirement at 55 or 60 isn't any less likely either. It can happen to all of us. And burnout looks different. Some of us might feel overwhelmed and stressed when we're burnt out. Others of us might feel exhausted and drained and tired. Still others of us might feel bored or listless. Burnout looks different. And so it's not just that, if it's this, you'll notice it, and if it's not that, it's not happening to you. And so I thought that was really cool to talk about how it can take on different life forms. Burnout affects lots of different people, but some of the people that are most susceptible to it, and this really spoke to me, are those that have type A personalities and were raised to be perfectionists, people pleasers, productive, effective, successful. And that definitely applies to me. When I was in high school, I was asked about what colleges I was going to. Is it going to be an Ivy League? It was an obsession in our house as to Amy has to get into a good school. Before I was done with college, it was, are you going to go to law school? Are you going to go to med school? When will you get an MBA? When I started out in corporate America, when are you going to get into leadership and be a manager? Once I made management, it's when are you going to be a regional director or a district manager? When I did that, when are you going to be the CEO of the company? When are you going to have your own business? When are you going to make more money? When are you going to buy a home? It was never enough. And so I was very susceptible to burnout as well. I went through burnout myself in the 2007 to 2008 time frame. I was working for Wells Fargo at the time, and I began to dread going to work. I felt overwhelmed. I felt stressed. I didn't align with the core values or the vision of the company. I felt like I was being asked to do things that I didn't agree with or want to do. And I really had a near meltdown and ended up leaving that organization and taking a few months off work before I was ready to rejoin the workforce. And that was really tough for me because I had always been taught, you gotta be successful, you gotta be effective, you gotta be productive, you've gotta have a big title, you've gotta be making money. And so I was trained to be a workhorse and to constantly be in motion. I didn't know how to relax or recover or heal or have work-life balance. And this book talks about all of that. It cites a lot of studies, it cites a lot of statistics, it talks about the causes, things you can do to prevent burnout. It talks about the things you'll notice if you're experiencing burnout. But it's such an important book because today burnout is at an all-time high, and organizations aren't always looking out for it or aware of it, and it's affecting lots of people. It absolutely affects a company's performance as well, and the engagement and the ability of employees to stay focused and loyal and excited and eager about the organization. So I highly recommend this book, Burnout Pains. Dr. Reggie Thomas, again, came out within the last month or two. Really cool book. I think every employee, every employer should read it. And so Reggie, hats off to you for taking the time to write this. It's so cool to see what a successful consultant, coach, speaker, trainer you are, and that you're also making time to write 2 books that can absolutely help transform and change the world. So if you guys are looking for a great book recommendation this fall, Burnout Pains is it. Love the cover, love the content. I know you will too. With that, everybody make a great day.